procedure for this practice was to, at first, weld two plates together using electric weld. You can see the plates welded in an horizontal shape. After that, we must make a cut in the same place of the weld in order to get two different pieces, one with welded material and one without it. Then we prepare those two samples to make a metallography test, just like we do in our past course. After we get the results from the metallography test, we get two samples that now we have to apply beakers in order to test the difference between the samples. After we get the beakers, we can make the chemical attack in order to obtain the pictures, the micrographic images from the metallography to compare the different grains obtained in the two different samples. With this, we will be able to compare the two samples and determine if there was a change before and after the welding process.
Of this practice is to evaluate all the microstructural change that the weld steel experience through the process of electric arc welding through the different zones that make up the welding core. So the objective is to learn about all the change that have the microstructural steel, steel, and see all the grains that change. The material and equipment that we use is the steel plates, electrode for welding, silicone, aluminum, and phenol resist.
Ya nomás está haciendo su...
After we get the results from the metallography test, we get two samples that now we have to apply beakers in order to test the difference between the samples. After we get the beakers, we can make the chemical attack in order to obtain the pictures, the micrographic images from the metallography to compare the different grains obtained in the two different samples. With this, we will be able to compare the two samples and determine if there was a change before and after the welding process. So the function of arc welding with a coated electrode is that the welding material receives a current from either an alternate or direct current, and it melts with the piece. So it kind of forms a pool of molten material, and when it solidifies, the piece is welded.
The advantages and disadvantages of the welding. Well, first, for the disadvantages, you need some skill in order to manage to weld in a good form. Also, the cracks in the joints make some stresses in the material, so it's bad for the piece. One advantages is the speed of the fabrication is better, and also it reduces the weight of the piece. Like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't improve also the advantage is to improve the mechanical properties, like with the hardness and the time of fabrication.
Well, hardness properties, tensile properties, and yield properties all increase due to welding. This is because of the constant heating and cooling of the material when welding at different rates.
The change that are already expected in the welded area is that the steel, when it's welded, they will change all the mechanical properties because of the freezing. Because if we have the steel and we weld, the freezing we will create different structures until they go all freezing and cold. So this will change all the mechanical properties. We can see in our grain size we can find a lot of grains. This is good because if the products have a fracture, they will stop in the first grain. So this is better for the structure that we help to don't break as easy as we think, because the hardness in the section of the weld is reduced, but the hardness in all the steel it increase.
Well, to conclude in this practice, I realized that when welding a piece with another, the material changes. Previously, I didn't knew this, and I thought that the structural and compositional properties of the material stay the same, but now, after we did all the metallography and compared the two pieces, I changed my mind. I realized that it does affect.
In this practice, I learned that the structural changes inside the material appear in welding, as I thought it would not matter, and it didn't depend on the type of welding. Now I realize it changes a lot and improve or make weaker the material for the welding processes.
I find that it is very important to understand all the structure of the welding of the steel where it's wet, because when we are going to do this application in a company, in our work, we have to know that the weld is only for connect steel or any metal, and don't apply any force because of the structure. So I find that it is very important to understand all this with a microscopic graphic.
For any given process of welding, you must take into consideration that the pieces or materials that you're going to weld together are going to change their properties in some of their parts. So maybe for a given application, that it's going to benefit you, or it's going to be bad for the application. So you must take into consideration that a part, it's going to melt the material, and that molten metal, it's going to change its properties.